All right, so we're gonna load up. Here we go. Come on, children. Okay, go ahead. Can you open the door?
Who's that?
Okay, so I'm gonna try to get them using this floorboard if I can. Can y'all get in? So you can see them kind of using the floorboards.
Where's my jacket?
Sit down, Charlie. Sit down, Charlie. So my oldest is able to stand up as she is buckling them up. And you can kind of see that makes it a lot easier. So we're going to get all buckled up and go for a ride. Okay, so I am finally doing my video driving the Transit. My first video, I did it and then I realized that my camera stopped recording midway through. So that is why it has taken me so long to do a video showing you me driving the Transit. So anyway, I am on my way to pick up my kids, and so I figured I would do the video now and just tell you how it drives. So it's a nice sunny day. I got the windows down. Let me roll them up in hopes that you can hear me. So just talking about the Transit, the difference between this and the NV. The Transit does have where the seatbelt dings if you don't have your seatbelt on. It does do that, which is a great feature. The Nissan didn't have that. So let's see. So I talked about the navigation, that this is equipped with navigation. So I have played with the navigation a little bit, and the navigation in the Transit is through a company called Sync. And so the way it works is you have to pay an extra $60. That's for the year. And then basically you download this app to your smartphone, and you put in your destination on this app, and then the app syncs to your car, and then that's how you get navigation. And so I've tried to use that app, and quite frankly, it is not a great app. I'm not pleased with it at all. I was all excited about the fact that this was hands-free, because unlike the NV, you couldn't put in your address or anything with the being hands-free. You had to be parked to put in your address. So I was excited about the fact that the Transit had the entire hands-free thing. However, the little app, it doesn't work. It has yet to be able to find my location. It's just not a great app. So I still default to using my Google app. So just keep that in mind with the Transit. The navigation is through a third-party kind of system. It's not actually built into the car like the Nissan NV. I talked about how the steering wheel comes up and forward in this. So I'm driving with the steering wheel pulled out, and so that gives it a little, feel like I have more control over this vehicle, driving it that way. So talking about the stopping in the Transit. So I have a few times had to stop on my brakes, and it takes this bad boy a little while to slow down. So if you remember in my NV, I did a little sample of me kind of going quickly and then stopping on the brakes. And so I'm going to do that again in the Transit, and hopefully you can kind of get a feel of the difference between the two. So right now I am doing about 40, 45, and I am going to come to kind of a And you can see it was still kind of rolling there. So it takes a minute for this thing. This isn't the kind of car that you're going to be able to just punch on your brakes and stop this van. You're going to have to be well aware of that. And so now that I know that, I've always traveled at a distance behind the vehicles in front of me, but knowing that I'm having this extra weight to have to slow down, definitely keep that in mind with this Transit. I think the NV's stop was a lot better with you being able to just kind of slam on your brakes and stop in an instance in comparison to the Transit. So, feels good. I'm gonna turn off the radio here so you can hear the radio. So not that great of a sound system. I do think that the Nissan NV sound system sounded just a little bit better. I think that Nissan does a great job with their sound systems. I think Ford needs to have a little way to go with that. But again, if you're driving this van around, chances are you are not necessarily that person that's just, bumping your radio system with the bass and all of that. If you're anything like me, you probably will not have the radio on at most times, unless your baby needs the music to go to sleep, which, as I stated earlier, my baby does a lot better in the Transit with sleeping than he did in the Nissan NV. So I find that when we get in this van, he pretty much falls asleep as soon as we start moving. And I don't have to play my music as much to get him to calm down. I think that rumble in the engine in the Nissan kind of kept him awake, and the music helped soothe him a little bit. So as far as noise and the quietness of this cabin, I think it's pretty quiet. When I pick my kids up, you'll see the thing that I like about the Transit is that the kids seem pretty far away. I talked about in the NV how they felt really close and we felt really. In this, they feel pretty far away. I feel like me and my husband can have a private conversation without, feel like everybody in the vehicle can hear what we're talking about. We don't get a lot of wind noise, but we can't understand or can't hear each other. We can talk pretty low and have a conversation, and I feel like the kids are, in our business all the time. And in the NV, it felt like they could pretty much hear everything we were talking about because everybody felt so close to us. This does not have dual air conditioning and heating, so get ready to fight over the temperature if you're used to being able to set your own temperature. This does not have that, so this still feels like you're driving a minivan. Does not feel like you're driving a truck. It has a minivan feel to it, just all the way around. I compare this to a bus. When I'm driving this, I feel like I've never driven a bus, but this is what I feel like a bus would feel like if I drove one. So it really feels like you're driving like a little mini school bus. This is what I feel like I'm driving. In comparison to the Tran, I felt like I was driving a truck. The NV felt like a truck. I talked about in the NV, people stopping you and wanting to know what kind of vehicle that was, and if you, weren't a person that liked attention, or if you were a person that liked attention, that was something to keep in mind. The Ford Transit, I don't get that type of reaction from people that I got from in the NV. People are not like, what kind of car is that, and asking questions. The type of reaction I get when I'm in this is literally, how many kids do you have? Is that a church van? Those are the two questions I get. Is it a church group? Like if we're going somewhere, it's usually, is that a church group? That's the nicest church van I've seen. Or how many kids do you have? That's pretty much the standard questions that I get, is the trunk space. And so initially I had the two middle seats taken out of this car. Because of how I had the seating arrangements, and I would use that middle section as my trunk space. But to be honest, I didn't like using that as my trunk space, especially if I had the kids with me, because it's in the middle, and so the kids would step all over whatever I had back there. It just wasn't in a feasible spot, so I put the two middle seats back in, which virtually means no trunk space. And so now when I do my grocery shopping, I just have to stick them in the aisles of the seats to make it work. So I think that that's probably my biggest gripe about the Transit, is that they did not think that you may need some trunk space, or that they didn't make it to where you could take out the other seats easily. So as I talked about with the hands-free, you can use this to make phone calls. So unlike the NV, you can press the button and then say who you want to call. You can send text messages. You can have it read text messages that are coming in. All of that is through the sync. So again, you can make phone calls easily, just answering phone calls. But if you want the capability to be able to send a text message or have your text messages read to you, you have to pay for that sync capability. And again, that's $60 for the year. So you do have that feature, which is nice. Also, a great feature about the Transit is the automatic windshield wipers. So when it's raining, they just come right on. Sprinkle, thunderstorm, it adjusts speed to the rain, all of that. Lifesaver for me. I know it's the little things that make us moms happy. It's the little things that I don't have to think about turning on my windshield wipers or turning them off. It just does it for me. Thank you, Ford, for that. The same with the lights. The lights are automatic, so I don't have to worry about turning on my lights. Turning them on, leaving them on, getting out the car, forgetting. None of that. Just one less thing that you have to worry about on your list. And we will take anything that we don't have to worry about. So that is a great feature. The Nissan NV does not have that feature. As far as gas on this, I feel like I've been doing really great. I think that this vehicle does great on the gas. I definitely think it does a lot better than the Nissan NV. I think just having that EcoBoost, I didn't understand all of that initially when my husband was trying to sell me on this vehicle. But now that I've been driving it, I don't fill up half as much as I did with the... So I talked about the overhead and was wondering if I put stuff up there, was going to all fall out. And it does a great job of standing there. So I keep, baby wipes up there, my baby carrier, napkins, those type of things. That's kind of what I keep up above in this little overhead compartment. So even though it has this overhead compartment and some indoor storage, I still feel like I got chipped on the storage in this Transit as in comparison to the Nissan NV. The Nissan NV just had tons
more things before you.
You kind of get to see what the feel is for having them in the car and talking and just noise control. Because obviously that's all important. So I just picked them up from their little homeschool co-op, so everybody's all excited and full of energy. So guys, I apologize in advance for any over excitement or anything that you may hear.
Oh my god.
Alright. Put my seatbelt on. Safety first. Parking this thing, don't expect to be parking too close to the front all the time. No matter where you park, the butt hangs out of the parking, so keep that in mind. We have, of course, the mid-size, so the butt is a little bit longer than the traditional transit, but it's not as long as the extra long transit. But again, I take that in consideration with parking, and it does hang out a little bit. I think the transit, I think they said was about 3 inches longer than the Nissan NV. And then I think it was like 3 inches wider than the Nissan NV. Alright, so I'm going to get on the interstate so we can see that 0 to 60 whole deal. So I'm going to try to slow down a little bit. I'm not at a complete stop like I was when I was in the Nissan NV. Of course, I was at a light. I'll just try to slow down a little bit. I'm doing about 30 right now. And now I'm getting on the interstate. Let's just see how quick that is. And I'm at about 60 right now. So, it didn't take that long. I actually feel like this one is smoother. The transit is smoother with getting to that 60. So I personally feel like the transit does a lot better at getting 0 to 60 than the Nissan NV does. So, you know, of course, the Nissan NV has that V8 engine. So for me, it almost felt like in the Nissan that you got that whole, you know, with the transit, I don't feel like I get that. It feels like a smooth transition. Again, if that makes sense. So we're on the interstate, so I'm gonna see if you hear any noise on the interstate. Well, now I'm in traffic, so never mind with that. But again, keep in mind with the whole stopping with this transit, because again, you're not going to be able to be going full speed ahead and, you know, slam on. So even now, I'm kind of coasting at 20. And let me see how far this car behind me is. But if I just, I mean, I'm literally like slamming on my brakes here. And so you can see, it just takes a minute to slow this vehicle down. Hey, Charlie, no. Thank you. That's how I was telling you, I could reach her and still kind of, you know, touch her and hand her things. And she's our worst traveler, so we have to always be in hands reaching her. reach and scratch her back. You know, I don't know if you guys seen that little cartoon where the mom is driving and the kid is like asking the mom to do all of these things. And she's like, I'm driving. So that's literally what I felt like when she was asking me to scratch her back while I'm driving. Yeah. So just to kind of talk about, you know, the pros and cons as I wrap this drive up with the Transit. So for me, the cons of the Transit would be, I wish the navigation was better. Not a huge thing with smartphones, but it would be nice to just have a vehicle that has great navigation technology. Let me think. I do wish that there was dual air conditioning and heating. That would be a nice feature to have. I miss that in the Nissan. We did use that a lot. I do wish that it came with the leather interior package. I'm not sure how these seats are going to handle or hold up, but so far they've been doing good. In the base model, they have like a rubber floor. I wish that was an option that you could get in all of the packages, because I think that my floor is tearing up. So I'm not sure if it's my floor or if the kids weigh something like oddly strange in here. But it almost looks like the floor is like crumbling. But I'm not sure if that's the case or not. But so that's kind of a con. I do wish that the flooring was different. I'm trying to think what else are the cons with this vehicle. I think that's probably really it. It would be nice to have a better sound system. Again, I have the Armada Platinum, and I mean, having that Bose system was definitely nice when I was riding alone by myself. So I do wish that the radio, was a little bit better. I do find I have, shorter arms, so I do find reaching my, to turn the station, it's not as comfortable. You kind of got to reach a little bit to, get to it. So that would be nice if if things were just kind of closer. I do wish that there was more storage. That's probably my biggest con on this vehicle is you're hauling around 15 people and it is just not enough storage. I don't know what they were thinking, but literally I just don't have enough storage. I don't have enough cup holders, I don't have enough storage, and I have zero trunk space. So that is probably my biggest con to this vehicle, is just not having enough storage. The pros, the space, you cannot, I just don't think that you're going to get a vehicle that has the space like this in any other vehicle. The design of the interior is great. The high ceiling, the 15 seats, the, how it feels. I mean, if you see now, if you look back at my Nissan video of us driving, we literally just kind of felt like we were on top of each other. And here it just feels spacey. It just feels spacey, which makes it a lot better to travel. My fast car driving skills right now, because I try to hurry up and get over. So love that about it. Love that the phone is hands-free, so I can answer my phone, make calls, all of that hands-free. I do love the fact that the backup camera seems to be better than the Nissan NV's backup camera. So that's definitely a pro. The automatic windshield wipers and lights, definitely a pro for me. The visor having a mirror is definitely a pro for me. The gas has been great, so that is definitely a pro, having that gas. We went to Gallenberg, which is, I believe, 8 hours away from us. We stopped once for gas. So, I mean, that kind of tells you what the gas does on this thing. So the gas on it is a lot better as well. So definitely a pro. So overall, other than that, I mean, I do really like this van, and I think that it was a great choice for our size family. I mean, it has been really great. It's a joy to drive. It's easy. It's smooth to drive. I don't feel like I can't handle it. Very easy to drive. Again, it's like an oversized minivan, so I feel like I just went back to a minivan. That's how I feel. So very easy to drive. And so again, I feel like if you're a family of 6 or more kids, this would be a great vehicle for your family. I feel like if you have 6 or less, the Nissan NV may be a better choice for your family. So I feel like this vehicle, if you have 6 kids and then you have your cousins with you, or you have friends, or you do teams, then you want to get something that has this type of space. Or if your family's still growing. If you have less, 6 kids, and it's usually just you and your kids, and that's it, then the Nissan NV may be a better option, just because you can do so much more with that vehicle. The Nissan NV, like I stated, you can haul stuff in it, all the seats come out, you can make a bigger trunk. I mean, it just has a better variety. This vehicle is going to be strictly for driving your family around. That's it. You're not gonna, haul anything in this. I mean, we've towed, you can put a trailer on it and tow things, but usually that's gonna be for, towing family stuff and things like that. So this vehicle is strictly for family. That is what this vehicle is for. And I think that it does a great job doing that. So I'm very happy with this purchase, and I feel like this is an upgrade for us, given the size of our family. So yeah, so that is the Nissan Transit. Be driving it. Hopefully that helps you guys, and if you have any other questions about it or anything. Oh, one more thing that I forgot to mention or show, and I will show it. I'll make sure I add it into this video. I'll make sure I add it into this video. The gas tank on the Transit is literally like right here. So to get gas, you have to open up your passenger door, and the gas tank is right there. So I remember when I first saw that, I thought in my head, y'all don't laugh at me for y'all that know these things. I was thinking, if somebody hit me, am I gonna blow up because the gas tank is like right there? So, of course my wonderful husband explained to me how, that's where you put the gas in, but that doesn't mean that the gas tank is literally like right there holding all the gas. So, anyway, you might want to keep that in mind, that the gas tank is right here. And I'll show that to you guys in this video. I'll just kind of tuck that in at the end. I'm just showing you where that gas tank is, because I thought that was unique and different, that that's where the gas tank is. So that is it. I hope you guys have enjoyed going on this little ride with me to pick up my babies, and I will see you guys soon. If you have any questions or comments, feel free to leave them, and don't forget to subscribe. Okay, so let me show you guys the gas tank, because I forgot to show this earlier. So this right here is the gas tank. You have to actually open up the driver's door, and then there is the gas tank. So it's literally right by the driver's seat. So again, that may not be a huge thing if you're a type person like me, where you get out of the gas, you leave your door open anyway, and then but again, if you're a person that closes your door and then you're about to get gas and you're like, oh shoot, I forgot, I need to open up the door and all of that good stuff to put gas in the car. But it's easy fuel, so if you can see, you just push, you just push it in there. So you don't have to take your cap off. So that's nice. Capless. and then you just close it back and close your door. And then here, I didn't show this earlier, here's your storage on your driver's door. So all right, so I'm gonna show y'all them getting out. So basically, okay, y'all get out. So you see, so as they are unloading, I can be unbuckling this one and they are still getting out. So it's not a traffic jam. This row here could be getting out if she was able to unbuckle herself. I could be over here unbuckling the baby, and they are still unloading out of the vehicle. So
Oh, it won't go.
I'm gonna
Oh, she won't
come out,
go. Ooh.
and if you can see, she has to be mindful. Did you unhook Harper? Is Harper out? Harper, come on.
Harper, you come and buckle yourself. You're a child. You're a child.
And so again, she has to be mindful with that step, and even with the little feet coming out, she just jumps right over it. See, it's kind of, it's nice to have, but again, it's not needed, so to speak. So he, you know, there we go with that stumble. So yeah, so that's everybody getting in and out of the vehicle.